Bienvenue sur Métal Maniaques, un balado d'horreur Québec où je, sous-signé Kristof G, m'entretiens avec des métalleux tripeux d'horreur.
Kristof G, ici, Métal Maniaques, épisode 43. Évidemment, on est vendredi 13. Je voulais faire quelque chose de spécial parce que, bon, les vendredis 13, il n'y en a pas de temps dans une année, hein, il y en a en décembre, donc on vous réserve des petites surprises. Mais pour ce vendredi 13-ci, j'ai eu la chance de jaser avec ce dude-là, le tout premier Jason Voorhees, enfant déformé dans le premier Friday the 13th, 1980, qu'Ari Lehman. qu'Ari Lehman, un artiste qui a déjà été acteur, qui a joué dans ce film, donc son claim of fame, qui est maintenant un métalleux, qui joue de la guitare dans un band metal. Un band metal qui a appelé First Jason, pour capitaliser évidemment sur son statut culte de tout premier Jason Voorhees. On me l'avait suggéré, il y avait une auditrice ou spectateur plutôt, de Métal Maniaques. Donc, une Métal Maniaque qui m'avait poké sur Facebook pour me demander est-ce que j'allais inviter qu'Ari Lehman à un moment donné. Mais effectivement, il était dans ma liste parce que un métalleux qui a déjà été un Jason, acteur dans un film, c'est sûr et certain qu'il allait être featuré, qui allait être mis en valeur dans un de mes épisodes. Puis vendredi 13 septembre 2024 pour cet épisode de Métal Maniaques. Une belle conversation avec un type absolument charmant, vraiment sympathique, à l'écoute. Donc, vraiment une belle conversation. Le courant a passé. Puis en plus, il me fait des beaux compliments à la fin de l'entrevue. Donc, c'est le fun quand c'est facile comme ça. Des fois, je pédale un peu plus, mais parfois, ça donne des moments plutôt singuliers, relativement magiques, hein, pour vrai, parce que Jason, c'est un peu un personnage fantastique. Hein? Puis, je vais vous donner un scoop. Spoiler alert. Sa suite, sa sequel de Friday the 13th préférée, c'est la même que moi. Mais je vous dirai pas laquelle. Je vais vous laisser le découvrir dans ma conversation avec qu'Ari Lehman. Hey man, so nice to see you, to meet you.
Très bien, salut. Et, tu sais, Jason ne meurt jamais.
Ah, c'est parfait. It's perfect. Oh, you learned some French just for me. It's awesome. Have you ever been to Montreal before?
Yes, Montreal is fantastic. Yeah, what a great place. Wonderful place. Great food, great entertainment. Just yeah, all over. I have been throughout Canada. You know, we're very fortunate. Last year we appeared at the Frightmare in the Falls event, which is in Niagara Falls, Canada.
Yes. Yeah, that's so cool. That's a great place to be. I've never been to the festival, but the falls is just great. And with all the haunted houses and all the, those little fun things around.
In fact, there's a crossover between the haunted rides and everything, and Frightmare. It's a great event. And we First Jason, my metal band, performed at their after party, which was in this old firehouse, and it was so packed. It was just out the doors. It was an amazing show, and it was so full. The people from Terrifier were at the event, and David and everybody showed up, but it was so packed that they had to split because immediately all the fans just wanted to do selfies with them. So I guess we got to figure out a VIP situation, but it was mobbed. So we love Canada, and we played in, I believe, in Hamilton, and we're getting ready to come back in December of all time. Yeah, we're going to be back up in Canada, and I'll get those dates up on firstjason.com. Calendar, perfect. So everybody can see that. Yeah,
you definitely have to come with your band in Montreal. I never been able to attend one of your shows, but if you're playing in Montreal, I'll be there. That's for sure. Because
we'd love to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll maybe I can help you out to book a show in Montreal. So we'll check that out.
Fantastic. So. Yeah. Well, you could get on stage and be the master of ceremonies. How about that?
That could be fun. That could be fun because I'm a metalhead. I'm a horror fan. That's why I started that podcast a few years ago, because in the midst of the pandemic, nobody had anything to do, and I was like, fed up with not able to attend concerts that I used to, and to chat with amazing artists like you. And so I figured I could start my own podcast, because I was starting to be really into that kind of things. And I've been doing interviews for years. I started back in 2004 writing reviews for all sorts of outlets like Rue Morgue magazine. And so podcast was just the natural evolution of my path. And now I'm able to get a lot of great people in my basement to chat about two of my favorite things in life, which is horror and metal. And
that was one of those things that really a positive outcome of the quarantine. I mean, we've certainly found out how essential music and movies and sports and entertainment are to people. I mean, they really turn to the entertainment as a survival mechanism, which I think reveals so much about the relationship between the artist and the audience, and how vital it really is,
Exactly. Art, it changes life. And also, it's not just entertainment. It's a way of living. When you're really passionate, when you're a fan and you're really passionate, you can, take the road for hundreds of miles to see your favorite band. And, you'll listen to music and, movies over and over again until you know every single word. So it's kind of a new religion to be into art.
You could say that, especially horror and metalheads. My gosh, they really are so devoted.
Diehards.
On the horror scene, we've got such a family, a worldwide family. It's the filmmakers, the tattoo artists, the hearse enthusiasts, horror burlesque troops. It just goes on and on and on. Haunted houses. Yeah. And all of the haunters who work in those haunts. It's a big family. And I'm very fortunate to be a part of it, and to be kind of a mascot, like little Jason. It's like being the baby Godzilla, if you will, or baby King Kong,
Yeah. A real monster kid. A monster kid. That's exactly what you are, because you were on the cover of Famous Monsters, back in the early 80s. Because my first question usually for my guests is, because it's already started, because it's a conversation, it's fun, and but what I want to know always is, what came first, metal or horror in your life?
Oh wow, that's a great question. Well, gosh, it was about the same time. I know that when I was really a little boy, I just happened to see Boris Karloff in The Mummy. It was just on TV, and I was very intrigued. All the ancient Egyptian stuff, and just his character and the whole storyline. I just loved it. And even at summer camp when I was very little, I remember comparing the different actors. For instance, I was a big Bela Lugosi fan when it came to Dracula.
Okay.
But my friend said, no, Christopher Lee. And I was like, who's Christopher Lee? Oh man, they said, you don't know who Chris is. So that, and that I must have been like 9 or 10 when that happened.
Yeah, that
But
early. Oh, that's
um,
cool.
but I have to admit also, maybe just a few years later, now I was already listening to Led Zeppelin
Mhm.
and
Yes.
Jimi Hendrix,
Hendrix.
Led Zeppelin, and Aerosmith. Oh, Kiss, that's right. Kiss was probably the first metal band that got my attention. Although I loved Jethro Tull because one of my music teachers in junior high school played songs from the wood for us. So I loved Jethro Tull. I went to see Electric Light Orchestra. Well, way back when they landed on stage in a spaceship, and so I was into it. Yeah.
And Deep Purple, I guess, because you're playing keyboards now.
Oh man, Deep Purple, of course. The interesting thing that happened on the set of Friday the 13th now, okay, you have a lot of extra time.
1979, you're 14 years old.
I'm 14, and we would sit in the Irwin Keyes, who plays the big guy sweeping up in the diner. He's also been in a lot of Rob Zombie videos and movies.
Okay.
So Irwin Keyes, look that up. He's passed away, got his wings. He was so much fun. He would always tell jokes, and we would sit in the pickup truck, and they had an 8-track tape player, man. You remember those? Okay. Yep. And I remember they had Ramones, they had Sex Pistols, they had Patti Smith. So it was kind of more of a punk initiation at that time. They were really into punk, and as a matter of fact, I don't know if listeners know this, or viewers know this, but Lou Reed visited the set of Friday the 13th, the original Friday. Yes. And as a little boy, of course, they didn't tell me who it was, but I remember them talking about Lou. And then this kind of short guy came, and they were very excited that he was there. And there was all sorts of fun things going on, maybe, and they had a guitar, and they were singing and stuff. But I didn't know who it was. I'm sure they weren't going to tell me,
It's pretty, underground, Velvet Underground, that was probably some kind of a cult band back then.
In 1979, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. So now,
crazy.
of course, what also happened was, now I remember when Anthrax came to play in Westport, Connecticut. Okay. And
I'm a huge Anthrax fan, man.
Man, that kind of blew my mind, because I had a friend who took me to see that, and then he also turned me on to Motorhead. Again, that was a big thing. That just made me see metal in a different light.
The speed.
But mind you, I was studying jazz at that time. This is the crazy transition in my career, Kristof, which is that I became absolutely fascinated with jazz, and I wanted to learn jazz. So I had this amazing teacher, Ms. Gay Mahegan, who was an amazing teacher. She was married to John Mahegan, who taught Herbie Hancock and taught at Juilliard. He created the jazz theory program at Juilliard. So I learned about jazz, and I got very into that.
So that you were playing piano?
Jazz piano, man.
Okay.
They allowed me to just even take classes off. I was like the star quarterback of piano for my high school,
Awesome.
So I got all state and all these different, I even got a scholarship to Berklee School of Music, although I decided to go to New York City, because I've been told, if you want to be professional musician, go to New York. Okay, so I took that advice, and right after college, I started playing in different bands, And lo and behold, I got hired by a band from Nigeria, West Africa. Okay. This happened because I was friends with cab drivers who were from Nigeria.
So
And one day
you were
they called me up
in your 20s back then?
This is, yeah, and I'm in Brooklyn, New York, okay, and the village, and just absorbing all this great stuff. And
a lot of artists in Brooklyn, of course.
Oh my God, and also, you know, when I was living in New York too, but I'll in the city, I'll touch on that later. That was fantastic. They called me up, Ari. There is a man. He has come from Lagos, Nigeria. You have to go to an audition. Just go. So I said, what? You know, and so I happened to be with a friend of mine who was also from Nigeria. We went to this audition, and the singer, Majek Fashek, knew my friend George. And they well, hey, you know, and then, you know,
it starts well.
Yeah, it was, yes, exactly. And I got this audition, and I ended up in this band. I got, you know, we played all over. I got a standing ovation with them at the Apollo Theater, bro. As you know,
it's pretty iconic venue.
Playing some amazing, and I got to tour with them for 10 years. I even got to go to the Ivory Coast in Africa, bro. So I was way into, if you remember in the 90s, there was a very strong world music scene.
Yeah, definitely. Paul Simon and a lot of artists.
Well, yeah, but like King Sunny Ade and Fela Kuti, and I actually got to go to Africa to play together with Sister Carol and Ijaman Levi from the reggae scene. So I ended up also working for Tough Gong Records. But long story short, now I'm off in the world music scene, right?
Yeah.
But then, you know, world events kind of changed, and world music bubble kind of burst, you know, and I started looking around. But what happened, which was crazy, someone sends me an email. He says, did you sign this photo of little Jason Voorhees?
Okay.
And I said,
the fandom started.
Yeah, I said, I've never autographed a photo. He goes, well, I just paid $50 for this on eBay. So it turns out somebody was out there forging my photo. We found out who it was. Whoever the vendor was nice enough to return money to the fans, claiming that it was from someone else. Anyway, but I dawned on me that, wow, there must be a market for this. Now, perhaps you've heard of course, you've heard of Fangoria magazine.
Of course.
So Tony Timpone of Fangoria magazine called me up on the phone and said, why don't you come down to what was the Chiller Theater Fangoria event at the Meadowlands, bro?
Oh, yeah.
So it was mind blowing. I got there.
And that was in New York, right? The place in New York.
It's really it's in New York. It's in New Jersey, right by New York City.
And
but it's a huge sports arena.
Okay, so when was it? Like 96, 97, 98, something like that? Okay. Yes,
that's correct. I can look it up, but yeah. So I met Kane Hodder. Okay. I met I saw Tom Savini again after years and years and years.
Wow.
They said there were so many people. They said, go wait in this room over there. And across from me was Betsy Palmer. Mama Voorhees.
Your mom? That's awesome.
So and this story tells you all about this wonderful lady, because I just, you know, I look like this. And you know, I didn't look like little Jason.
Nope.
You know? So I walk across, there's nobody else in this room. They had it blocked off. So no one else.
Before the show started. Okay.
Yes. So I walk in there, I walk over to her, and I just put my arms out and I go, Mama, like this. And without missing a beat, she just gives me the sweetest hug, then puts her hands on my shoulders, looks me in the eyes, and she goes, now who the fuck are you?
just so welcoming, but you know, the mustache and all.
That was her, man. She was born on the same date as my own mom, November 1st.
Wow.
So I knew.
What are the odds?
She and I really became
You
good
bonded.
friends. And she was the sweetest lady. When I told her who I was, of course, she gave me another big hug.
Mhm.
I used to bring her flowers, and being both vegetarians, we would eat together.
Okay.
And she took me under her wing. She gave me a lot of great advice,
As an older
and,
person, an older
oh my,
actor.
yeah. Oh, she basically set me off on my way of being an independent artist,
Mhm.
even though it's so challenging, Kristof. And
Of course.
but I'm better suited to it. And so was she. She said to me, fuck Hollywood. I love doing dinner theater. And she would do
Oh.
dinner theater up into her 80s, bro. And she had memorized all these. She said, you get the applause and people come to bring you flowers, and you eat dinner, and you have a good time. And I'm not waiting by the phone for somebody to cast me as a mother,
Yeah.
and she
got to
but
play until the very end, so that's
yes,
great.
yeah. But speaking to her role in Friday the 13th,
Yep.
if not for her, I don't know if we'd be talking about this right now, because she brought her A game with
good.
and that wonderful character of Pamela Voorhees, who's just unforgettable and was the killer in the first movie.
So you're a 14-year-old kid. So you had started acting in plays and stuff like that. So you auditioned for that, and you got a part. So how the hell did
Well,
you
no,
got?
I didn't have. It was kooky.
Oh, yeah?
I auditioned
Okay.
for a movie that Sean Cunningham
He did
wanted to
prior.
sell.
Okay.
The soccer movie. It was called. It was a movie about a ragtag bunch of orphans who win their orphanage back from the mafia in a soccer tournament. And yes, so I snuck into the YMCA in Westport, Connecticut, and landed an 80-line role of Roger in Manny's Orphans. Now, long story short,
But it never got made.
Paramount passed on Manny's Orphans.
Okay.
They said although you can see it, and it's been translated into, because in America no one played soccer in 1978.
That's right.
Okay? So
they played football.
Yes. So you can see me speaking Italian and Japanese and Portuguese, and it's wonderful. But the movie is actually a good movie, and it's Victor Miller, the writer, again, and Harry Manfredini and Barry Abrams, all the same guys.
Oh,
so what happened was, they said, look, as often happens, you still have this much budget and this much time. So Sean Cunningham looked around. This is important information. He looked around and saw the success of Halloween. And he came up with this idea, Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
He got a piece of
this
driftwood.
Title. It's a great title.
That's all he thought of.
Exactly.
He got a piece of driftwood. And back in those days, they would use these kind of welding thing to, like, in summer camps, to kind of arts and crafts. So you would write something. So he just wrote Friday the 13th on the piece of driftwood and put that in Backstage magazine or whatever. That's how he got his initial backers.
So that was the ad. A piece of wood, burned wood. That's cool. Yeah.
See, Sean Cunningham is underappreciated. He's different than other directors, and he's underappreciated. He's totally different than John Carpenter.
Of course.
He's different than Clive Barker. He's got his own thing, which is kind of an American, sort of understated, like, he's coming at you like directly, but if you look carefully, he's got some hidden messages, and that's what gets you in the end. And that's why Friday the 13th, I believe, is so successful, because he tried his best to not overdo it. So, but initially, again, we filmed the scene where little Jason drowns. Okay,
exactly.
I went through the scenario. They called me up. They said, we need a kid to drown in this movie. So
can you swim?
yeah. Famously, they said, can you swim? I said yes. I showed up, and I got to work with Tom Savini for 4 months.
That's
which
crazy.
Was, to be a kid and to be in Tom Savini's studio and in the presence of Tom and Tasso, and just
Must have been really impressive.
Yes, it reinforced my whole belief in being an independent artist. That if you look to your own creativity, your own imagination, your own talents, and just try your level best and make the most out of the resources you have in front of you, as I saw them do all day long on the set of Friday the 13th. My gosh, they were on a summer camp. They weren't in Hollywood. They had to
they
make
worked hard. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, they literally, for that first scene where Annie gets her throat slit, right? She was there, and they put her on the motorcycle. Tom took her back to the studio. Oh, I just bounced her. Hey, come back here. Hey, Tom brought her back to the cabin, and then back on the motorcycle. You know, it's like,
wow,
you know, every real guerrilla filmmaking. But
that's so cool. That's so cool, because you know, you get to see those people work. And you know, Tom Savini, he was already an established makeup artist. He's done some great, amazing film with George Romero back then. So having this guy on set, were you a horror fan of those films as well? The
well, as
Romero?
a kid, I was all about Star Wars, man.
Oh yeah, of course.
My dad took me to see Star Wars the day it opened in Times Square. It was like my birthday, and I'll never forget it. I went back to the movie theater to watch it 9 times, you know.
9 times. Yeah.
I was all about Star Wars. So anything, you know, I just thought, wow, this is cool. I can be in a movie. But, you know, they made sure that it was fun for me, and everybody was kind of having fun. There was a lot of hard work, but we were at a summer camp, and
you were the youngest one on set, right?
Yeah. So I was like the only kid at a summer camp. So
yeah,
there was cool. a lot of fun. Like we would all go swimming in the pond, you know, after work was done, much like all those counselors, just run out off the dock and go swimming and have a good time. But again, you know, to film, it took about 4 hours to put on my makeup.
Yeah.
So you would have to go to sleep early to be up. So if they had a 7 o'clock call, we would literally have to be, you know, getting makeup going at like 3:30 or 3, 4 in the morning. Yeah.
And when you're a teen, you sleep late. That's what you do. So it must have been a real challenge for you.
Well, you know, no, there was that energy, man. It was just like you're in a team, and everybody would just, you know, wanted to do. And I recall a wonderful thing they did, which I'll never forget. So Tom and Tasso, his assistant, they really wanted me to kind of get into the character. And so they said they had a barber chair and the mirror, but I had not gotten to see the makeup when they finally finished the makeup with everything. And that includes the prosthetic, the eye, the fake eye, the glass eye, and the false teeth. And so they put everything in and got it all perfect. And they said, okay, we're going to leave the studio. So count to 10. We're going to turn the barber chair around to the mirror. And so we're going to leave the studio. And it was, you know, it was really early in the morning. So it was very quiet and in the woods, you know. So and it was very, and I turn around and I open my eyes, and the first thing I thought was, who the fuck is in the room with me? Like, who's that? You know, I thought, oh my God. And then, oh, that's me, you know. And then, you know, oh my God, what did they do to him? This poor boy. And then I got angry. So they were right. They knew exactly how an actor would respond. Wow. It was kind of, I guess it was sort of a method thing that you would do in the 70s. You know?
So you didn't have to shave. They put you a bald cap on you?
Correct.
I guess.
In fact, Tom said, I even had long hair at the time.
Oh yeah.
So
okay.
It was like they put the hair in a bald cap. Yeah, exactly. So that he said it actually helped to fill.
Yeah. The you know, the shape of the head, it helped having a weird head with all your hair inside. It's pretty awesome. And can you remember what kind of music you were listening back then?
Oh my gosh. Oof. So on the set, like I said,
you
they
wait a
turned
lot.
me on to Sex Pistols on the set.
Yeah.
They played I think The Damned. I think they were really into punk. Definitely Patti Smith, the Ramones.
Because metal was starting back then, with the Judas Priest and older Black Sabbath records and all.
See, because these guys were all it was filmed in New Jersey.
Okay.
So they were all from New York City. So they were responding to that, Bad Brains, that whole vibe. It wasn't now, I think it was the summer after that I went to California to hang out with some family friends.
Okay.
Okay. I was into because being a keyboardist, I liked, Yes, Rick Wakeman and Yes. So, and then Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Definitely.
I loved all that stuff again, and Jethro Tull. So I was hitting that kind of hard. And then but I got out there and my buddy was like, no. Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, Van Halen, what's that all about? Is that some German band?
Oh yeah, the name.
And he's like, no, man. And he had like this fast car, and he's like, let's smoke this weed and listen to Van Halen and drive really fast around California. And and that was it. Now I started to understand about
hard rock.
Yeah, more and more.
And then Van Halen.
I remember I got Aerosmith albums, AC/DC albums. There was a place called Sam Goody's.
Okay.
And you go down to Sam Goody's and get your albums at Sam Goody's. And it was such a different experience back then. It was such a statement of who you were, Yeah.
Having access to music, you knew because of some other older, I don't know, brother or older kid that, got you into that kind of music.
Yeah.
It was a way of sharing, because nowadays it's so easy to have access to everything. Back then we had to work.
Oh no, we had to go somewhere to get that album. You're right. Now progressively, what happened was, of course, yes, there was the famous Yes versus Rush battle in my high school.
Oh, that's right, Rush, famous Canadian band.
Yes, and my friends had a Rush flag on their car.
Oh
yeah, it was like a big Buick or something. They put this big Rush flag on it, and I was like, I like Rush, but at that time I didn't particularly dig the way Geddy Lee sang. I just and they were like, then they said, well, what about John Anderson, man? He's singing the same way. Not to mention, the whole time I was definitely way into Queen. I remember that. But then what happened was I heard King Crimson.
Oh shit!
It was my piano teacher.
That's metal.
She turned me on to King Crimson.
Yeah.
And that was it. There was no turning back. I was so into King Crimson. I would listen to that Discipline album. Just, I loved that to pieces. So
and those guys, three from the old schools guy below. I cannot recall the two other ones.
Robert Fripp, Adrian Belew, Tony Levin, and Bill Bruford.
And they reunited.
I know, and with Joe Satriani, I think. No, Steve Vai.
Yeah, that's crazy. Are you going to that?
I'd like to. I sure would. We've been listening to it in the band van. Our guitar player, Eddie Machete, is a shredder. He studies and has studied with for years Joe Satriani himself. So he owns guitars and amps that were given to him by Steve Vai. He's a huge fan of all that music, and he knows all about it. So that's the interesting thing about First Jason is that I play guitar.
Yeah.
So that brings in all of those world elements, those jazzy, funky elements. Then, our drummer and backup vocalist is named Bass Amp, and he comes from the St. Louis punk scene. He's like an underground hero of the St. Louis punk scene. He has a radio program. He's played in all kinds of bands. Now, Eddie, on the other hand, comes from the progressive metal scene. So you put
amazing influences.
He can play note for note Satriani and Steve Vai, and he loves all of that stuff, music like Testament and all that. He just loves to pieces. He could do all those sounds on his guitar.
So there's no
So-
boundaries, you know, to having all those influences. You can do whatever you want.
Well, thank you for putting it that way, Kristof, because people have asked me many times, you know, what is it that you're
What
doing?
kind of music?
Because
Yeah.
you have different influences. Sometimes we hear punk, we hear metal, we hear funk, we hear reggae.
Yeah.
And I said, just like Jason Voorhees, First Jason is not afraid of these genre boundaries and will just slash them to pieces. You know, but you know, it's almost unfair in my opinion, because I have the capability to choose from the entire palette. Now I know that sort of thing doesn't always appeal to everyone, but I will say one of the first people to help us was none other than John McKenty of Incantation himself.
Oh shit. Okay.
John and Yoko, John, it's his wife and him. They okay. John is amazing person and an amazing singer, an amazing performer. And Incantation is just absolutely spellbound. So yeah, they invited us to play at the California Chainsaw Massacre. That was one of the first time.
Amazing name of event.
So get with a guitar, bro. Okay, they're all playing thrash. They're playing thrash. It's all the whole night. So Nuclear Assault was there.
Oh shit.
And Indentation and 9 other bands that would blow your mind. And we were all so flabbergasted. But again, we come with what we did, and you know, within about 30 seconds, we got them. You know.
Oh yeah.
So we got a great response. At first, they're looking at me like,
what
guitar?
Yeah.
But, you know, we hit them with "You Better Run," which has a very fast arpeggiated, you know. So we hit them where they live, and they appreciated that. And then of course we played some of our punk stuff. And I also do what they really like is I did the toccata. They love that stuff. So they were, you know, everybody gives us that chance because I played little Jason. So I don't take that for granted. The next thing that happened, and this leads to something that's going on now, is that Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills.
Yeah, I saw that. You sang on one of the records recently,
the
2019.
Thank God It's Friday acoustic version, which is some people's favorite version of the song. It's a beautiful song, and it does translate very well to the acoustic version. But you know,
the name of the song, of course, they thought of you.
Yes, well, they do a song about every horror franchise, which is genius in itself. And it's I can't say enough about Spencer. He's
a great guy,
very talented individual. And more than that, he's super talented at human interaction. He knows how to work together. It's like the great Rudy Sarzo, the bassist, said. He said, it's not about how great you play. It's about how great you play with other musicians.
Of course.
And Spencer leads the way in this, in his interaction. So he invited me to sing on that song, and that went so great. I invited him to sing on First Jason's song called The Scapegoat. So go on YouTube, check out First Jason, The Scapegoat, because Spencer was so kind as to be in the video, okay?
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So then we performed at his convention, which is coming up next week again. This was the first Silver Screen in Massachusetts, Silver Screen Con. And this opened up another door, Kristof, because Twisted, the Juggalo band, okay?
Yeah.
Twisted, a whole look at metal. It's like so many sides of metal.
I know.
You know, the thrash, and then the theatrical metal of Ice Nine Kills, and then Twisted. This whole other, it's like doors opening. It's amazing. So Twisted. So we opened for Twisted, who opened for Ice Nine Kills at that show. Upcoming,
cool. It's fitting.
This is Saturday the 14th. Okay, we are going to be performing at Silver Scream again but it goes First Jason, TX2, Avatar, In This Moment.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Ice
A lot of
Night
people
Hill.
that like to do cool theatrics. It's awesome.
Yes. I mean, yes. I mean, yeah, First Jason. And the thing is about us is we can easily just jump on front of the stage, the three of us, because we don't have a lot of theatric stuff. It's
Oh
just,
yeah, it's more in the lyrics. The horror is in the lyrics and the your background as an artist, but
yeah,
it fits with everyone with those guys. It's
it's
cool.
just frightening musicianship.
Uh-huh.
I like to say,
Wow.
but what an honor and what an amazing thing. So we also got to appear because Twisted. I don't want to leave out Twisted. Also, they had us at their event called Astronomicon,
Okay.
and then we did a collab with them, and it's
Ah,
another song I'd like people to check out called "Killing It."
okay.
So listen to this. It's got me.
Uh-huh.
It's got Tim Capello, the sexy sax man from the Lost Boys, the sax guy. Okay.
Okay.
It Alex Vincent, the
Oh yeah.
guy who played Andy in Child's Play, who
Mm-hmm.
holds Chucky, the little
Yep.
boy. He
Mm-hmm.
did all
In
the
the
backing
series at all.
track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. He sings.
in Florida. Well, he sings too, but he did the back. I'm sorry, he did the bass and drum.
Oh,
The production. He
okay.
did it
Okay.
at his studio. So
Oh wow.
he laid down some tracks and
That
so
makes sense.
I do
Okay.
the first verse. The second verse is done by Courtney Gaines, who played Malachi in Children of the Corn. Okay. And so it's an all-star thing. And then Twisted comes in and shows us how it's done. And Tim plays all over it. And it's a lot of fun. So it's called Killing It, First
Killing it.
Jason. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, that's so cool. Those, you never knew that would lead you there. It's
No,
crazy. Those
no.
encounters in convention and all, and friendships, and it evolve into art. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, I agree. I love that the way you said that. It's true. I think that, I mean, if you look in the past and you look at artistic scenes like, the modern artists and the impressionists, or if you look at jazz music like the bebop
Mhm.
artists and the cool jazz artists, and then later, of course, like psychedelic rock, progressive rock, people are always
It was a
learning from each
community.
other.
It was a
Yeah,
community. Yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
was that's what feeds people, and make us thrive as people. We're the sum of the people that we meet, and when we're able
Mm,
to collaborate and do, you know, creative things out of just being friends, uh,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
it's crazy. But
Like
yeah,
the
go ahead.
band itself is a group of people, right?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And the way that group of people relates to each other is then reflected to the audience relating to each other and relating to us. So I like to think that it's where the people meet. That place that we meet, that's where the music is created.
Mm.
Every night you sing the same songs, but it's different every time.
Hmm. The reaction, and also, what I like when I go to see a show is if I don't want it to be as the record. I want to see imperfections, and I want to see
Mhm.
smiles, and I want to see people jamming sometimes, even though some songs
I'll tell you.
it's kind of hard, but yeah.
Honestly, honestly, you have those nights and you think, man, I did each thing right. Each thing. Oh boy, I did that song just right.
Uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
played that solo just right. I did everything. Oh, I breathed just right. I wiped my sweat just right. And then the audience will look at you like, that was not your best show. But if you go up on stage and you're like, oh man, I effed it all up. My cable fell out. I had to change batteries in my guitar in the middle. And then this happened. I forgot a lyric. Oh my God. I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm going backstage now. And then
People
they
are
will
crazy.
run up to you and say, that was your best show. So just
Uh,
forget about all that perfection shit.
yeah,
You
definitely.
try your best, you try your best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
they love to see you
mhm.
kind of wrestle with that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, artists and people know that artists, they're human being, and sometimes they have a slow night. Maybe they're tired from the night before. Maybe they have a flu, and but the the most passionate artists, it doesn't really show because they don't want you to to know, because they're professionals. And that's awesome. I went to see Sacred Reich
Oh,
a few
wow.
years ago. They were playing with Sepultura, and the singer, he had a flu, and he had a cold, and he was like pretty sick, and he told us in the mic, because he just didn't want us to be disappointed by his performance, but he was singing great, and he was really into the crowd. The crowd was really on fire. In Montreal, we're renowned to have to been a really demonstrative crowd, so he was really enjoying himself. And I saw a few days later that he canceled a few shows to rest, but he gave us his the most that he could, and that was an amazing show, even though he was kind of struggling with his health. So
Who knows? Who knows what it is, man? Who knows what it
exactly.
is? I think when we're trying to control it too much,
Mhm.
we're not accessing these other spiritual energies and forces that can guide us into this really electrifying place. And if when we fuck up and we struggle and we go, please help me. Go out to the muses, help me. Oh shit.
Oh man, I can't wait
I
to
can
see
you
you
can think about it
live.
like the
Yeah.
famous show of Carlos Santana band at
Uh-huh.
Woodstock
Oh
when they
yeah.
were supposed to go on last. But so they said, "Oh, okay, we're going to take some acid right now," and it was really strong acid.
Uh-huh.
And then the promoter ran up to him and said, "No, you have to go on stage right now." And they started tripping so hard that Santana, I never forget the first time I saw that show. It just impressed me so effing much. But I've heard interviews. He said he was just trying to keep his shit together, because to him the neck of his guitar had turned into rubber and was
Oh
like, yes, he was like holding on for dear life, and it was the
wow.
greatest performance. So
So
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, it's always fun to have background information like that. Just like extra features in on DVDs and blue on the DVDs and Blu-rays and all, and in books. When you're a fan of stuff, you want to know more,
Yeah.
because if you watch or you listen to something over and over again, sometimes it's not enough. You need more. You need a commentary track. You need some demos from the band, and you need to see the band live. And that's what is cool about fandom. It's passion, and it's awesome to be a fan. I'm
Oh,
a
I
fan,
agree.
always been a fan of all those amazing art forms. And I got to chat with artists that are really fun to talk to. Sometimes they're not, but we don't
But
try not to.
for the artist,
Yeah, yeah,
Kristof,
yeah,
the
exactly.
artist recognizes and responds to every person.
Yeah,
You know,
in different ways.
there's no reason to make art just if we were in a vacuum, if
Hmm,
we were
hmm.
all alone, if we were in the mirror world,
Yeah,
if it's communication,
yeah,
and it's telling a
totally.
story.
Yeah, totally.
And
So,
then you see people's reaction, like I sing, like Jason is watching, and I point at people, I look them right in the eye, and you sense every person. Artists won't let that on, but it's true. You feel the presence. I mean, certainly in a big house, it's more of a challenge, but
yeah,
it
I know.
matters. Every person who loves Jason Voorhees matters to me, because that's become like a mythology across the world.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because you've been in the first movie, and then it became this big, huge thing, in the whole
Yes. After
genre.
part
So,
three, yeah.
yeah, so what was it like for you just growing up and trying different things, going into music like that and seeing those movies, those sequels,
Mhm.
and seeing that, that people are really getting into that character, that
Yeah.
you were part of it? What was it like for you?
Well, it was for the first 2 years. Well, the first thing that happened was they reviewed it in the New York Times.
Yeah, yeah. So the
And
reviews weren't
the
that
New York
good.
Times was everything. That's what meant everything. There was no internet.
Hmm.
TV news was Matt. It was like, no, the New York Times, the Sunday Times
Hmm.
was
They
oh
have the
like
truth.
the word of God.
Yeah.
So, but so my dad said, he said, look, they gave your movie a bad review. I said, yes, but Dad, look, that's my name in the Sunday Times. And that shut him up. He went, oh, yes, that's true, son. Yes.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, I'm in the Sunday Times, bro. But so for the first couple of years, it was, because horror was not mainstream.
No,
Today you
it took a
have,
few years. It took a few years, but
well, no,
still,
but not
people
just,
went to see the movie, right?
well, no. See, listen.
Hmm.
Yes. The word of mouth got out there,
Hmm.
and people loved Friday the 13th.
Hmm.
But it really wasn't until part 3
Hmm.
with the hockey mask.
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
it's part 3. That's when people would come up to me at school and go, "Ch, ch, ch."
Oh, yeah.
That's when that happened. I turn around and say, "What?" And they go, "Didn't you play little Jason?" Oh, yes. And of course they used Jason, little Jason, in
Flashbacks.
parts 1,
Hmm.
2, and 4, but
That's
not
right.
3. But then they brought it back in part 4, because Hollywood loves to recycle.
Of course, and that's why it's a franchise now with 12 movies in the series in the works, and probably more movies when everything legal gets settled down.
Well,
But
what is the future? Well, the legal thing is settled,
yeah, I think so.
but
Right.
they haven't really
Mhm.
come up with the direction, because
Ye-
they were first going to do the series with Brian Fuller. That
mhm.
didn't work out,
It's a
which is,
shame.
yeah, well, I don't know. I
Well,
think
who
there might
knows?
have been a re-agendizing
Yeah.
topically, which we don't need
Mm.
any of that politics in Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So I feel that they may have taken a good course of action there, even though
Mhm.
it'll take more time. Um,
Yeah.
Sean Cunningham himself, I was working together with him at a convention in Germany,
Okay.
and he revealed to me a couple things. One thing he said to me, that if not for the final sequence, that we the first, I don't know if you know that,
Mhm.
but
The qu'Ari stuff, right?
well, initially,
Uh-huh.
they sent to Paramount without that ending scene.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Paramount passed,
Oh, yeah.
and so there was 2 months. So then they sent them. Then we shot the other scene. They called me up and said, "Come back. We're going to do a scene." And I was like, "Well, I'm dead. Am I just going to lie on the beach there?" And Sean says to me, "No, you get your revenge." So I was like, "Okay, what is that about?" And then they hand me the script. It says Alice's dream, and I was like, this isn't a dream. It's real.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
so whatever happened,
Yeah.
however we did it, Paramount Pictures
They loved
loved
it.
the ending, and
Mhm.
they responded by distributing Friday the 13th in 800 theaters across the country on the same day, which
Mm.
had never
It's
been done
huge.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Sean
Mhm.
likes to point out that, yes, as much as the scene did save the day, but also that the fame of Friday the 13th owes a lot to great distribution as
Yeah,
well as
of course.
being a good movie.
People have to see the movie to love it. So, when it's in the theaters, in 800, you said, it's crazy.
It
Uh,
used to be like 50.
yeah.
The reasoning for that was they wanted everyone to get the impact and not tell the ending, that
Hmm.
the mom is the killer.
Yeah.
However, it had almost the reverse effect, because people loved that final scene so much
Hmm.
that they wanted to bring their friends and
Hmm.
and sit by
And
as their
to
friends
see that.
got scared shitless. Yes.
And it left the door open for sequels. That's what we like as horror fan. We want more, always. So that's so cool because the first movie is so different from all the other ones. The first few movies are different, and then it started to be a formula. But it's a Giallo, and I'm a big
Yeah.
Giallo fan as well.
Do
It's
you
a
consider
mystery.
you consider the first one a giallo? Really?
It's inspired by Giallo. It could be
Well,
Giallo if we
it's
want.
funny because um
And the music as
Dario
well.
Argento. Okay, I got to
Yep.
meet Dario
Oh
Argento.
yeah.
I
Wow.
got to give out awards at an awards at a big awards gala in Orvieto. But
Oh shit.
before that, I met him in New York City, and the
Okay.
first time I met him, of course, I love Giallo. I love Deep Red. I love
Yeah.
Suspiria. I
Mhm.
love that stuff.
Mhm.
And also Phenomenon.
Oh yeah. Jennifer
Okay,
Connelly.
so you remember
Mhm.
in Phenomenon, there's a little boy
Mhm.
and in a lake. Although the ending sequence is a little different because there's a fire. But
Mhm.
so see, I didn't know the timing, so I put my foot in my mouth. I walked up to the great director Dario Argento, and I said, "Oh, it's so good to meet you. I guess we stole the idea of the boy in the lake from your movie Phenomenon." And he said, "No, tu è primo." I said, "What? What is he saying?" And he said, he was saying, "No, I'm first, that we were first." He said, because then his assistant translator said, "Yeah, it was released in '83 or something." And no,
Yeah.
Friday the so I walked up to him and basically accused him of stealing the idea, you know. So
He
yeah.
was kind of pissed.
Well, no. He's
No.
such a sweet
Yeah.
guy, and he because then my response, I laughed and laughed, and he put his boy, you like this.
Oh wow.
Yeah. No, I
It-
made good friends with all those
it's amazing.
directors. Ruggero Diodato was particularly a dear friend. I'm
Oh
sorry
yeah.
he wasn't, but he
Cannibal
was
Holocaust.
just
It's
such
so
a
many great
great.
things.
He was so funny, man. He would
Oh
tell
yeah.
stories, and every time I would see him at the events, and we would pretend to sing opera, and just I love those guys so much, and
No,
that was great.
The Italian, that they have such a way of doing genre films, and people say they're just copying, and everybody copy everyone. So, anyways, we
Well,
don't
I mean, you
care.
look at the tradition of Italian cinema. I'm a huge Fellini fan,
Hmm.
and I think that if you look at Fellini films, he delves so deeply into human nature. Like, for instance, the dream sequence in Eight and a Half, when Marcello is confronting his parents at their grave, and he's got a profound sense of that. And I think that also, have you ever seen Toby Dammit?
No, I never.
Toby Dammit is a short. It's a Fellini short film, and it's about a British actor that's played by Terence Stamp, and he goes to Italy to get an award, but he meets up with the devil in a very interesting form. You should see Toby Dammit. So
Okay,
anyway,
that's so cool.
I think that see this, you know, by the same token, we have to see how much these great directors were inspired by horror. Just like the great artists,
Mhm.
the French the French Dadaists and Surrealists, they loved horror movies and Edgar Allan Poe. But yeah,
Horror is
it's
everywhere, and people don't really realize it. And sometimes they try to call it a different way, like
well.
a
Have
thriller or
have
something.
you ever seen the 1948 Hamlet
Nope.
starring Laurence Olivier?
Okay.
Because it was directed by the same director, British director who directed Horror Hotel. The Elizabeth Selwyn movie with
Okay.
Christopher Lee, with that
Hmm.
wonderful. It's done with the misty, and it's all done on a soundstage
Mm.
in England. It's not a Hammer film. It's the other one. But anyway,
Amicus, maybe.
I can't remember. But
Okay.
but what I'm getting to is that that this version of Hamlet in the 1948 version is a horror movie.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
It
it's dark.
starts off, Hamlet's father comes out of the grave and tells Hamlet, "Avenge my murder most foul." It's a horror movie. I really think they intended fully to make a horror version of Hamlet. I recommend watching that to everyone. In fact, I've been so inspired by that version that I'm coming up with an idea for a movie that involves something from that. I don't want to get any more specific, but
that's cool.
The main thing I'm saying though is that horror should never be considered lowbrow,
of course,
because we find it in Shakespeare, we find it in the Bible,
in the visual arts as well.
Oh yes, oh my God, yeah, in opera, in forget it, in mythology. For you look at Hindu mythology and the demons, and you look at the Greek mythology. Oh my God, it's just a great device to get people's attention.
Oh man, I totally agree. And we need horror in our lives, and metal as well, because it's cathartic. We need that because there's so much shit that we have to go through in life. People that we love dies, and people get disease, and we get some fucking bills to pay, and a lot of shit we have to deal with. And horror, it's in art, it's safe, and it's we have to experience. We can experience, the tragic things and things that we don't want to live through in life, and we just have to watch it on the screen or in our headphones.
Therapeutic, man. It's therapeutic,
totally.
especially the metal concert, because when you're together, I mean, you got it when you are on a stage like that, and the band is kicking, and you're singing out, and the crowd is rocking. I mean, it's
the mosh pit, man. Everything.
Oh my gosh,
loud, and it's just a big joy fest. Yeah.
The acceptance. We accept your dark side, brother. Let's sister. Let's make this happen. Let's everybody just come together. You look at the Juggalos and how far they take it. We just did an event. With a bunch of Juggalos up in New Hampshire.
Oh yeah!
And, wow. We played with Cottonmouth Kings. I don't know if you've heard them.
Yeah, I heard of them. I think
Kings.
It's kind of a hardcore rap kind of thing.
Exactly. Okay. And it was amazing how, you got black, white, young, old, everybody's coming together.
Awesome.
And they're all just
it's all about, being connected. And people are scared of metal, just like people are scared of horror, because they think we're all maniacs and serial killers, and it's just big love, and a mosh pit is just a big hug.
Yes, in the best cases, it really is.
Yeah, sometimes people got hurt a little bit, but most of the time people got pulled up, and people fall down, and people help each other, and it's all good,
Yes. No, I can vouch for that. I've met some of the so-called tough guys, like big old Phil Anselmo, who was really a teddy bear, and like I met, of course, Guar and Dave Brock.
Oh yeah,
what a wonderful person to talk to. I miss him, and I met Lordy.
Oh yeah, from Finland, Lordy, right?
These guys, man, and they're big. This guy is like this big giant, but he's like the sweetest guy, And talking about big giant, I got to meet Peter Steele from
oh man, I was such a fan, man.
So
I put together is great too. You play with them?
Well, no, I mean, I opened for the band that opened for them, but it was at the Palladium in Worcester, Mass, and that's where we're going to be again. But yeah, talking to Peter Steele here, let me see if I can do it. It was like this. It was like, "Hey man, how you doing? Good to meet you up there." And he was all like, "You're the guy that played the little Jason Voorhees." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "So how you doing, man?" He's like, "Every day has been worse since my birth. How are you?"
And not smiling. You're really ironic, and he was like that. He was such a an amazing artist, but with the darkness inside, and
My God. Yeah,
it killed
I
them.
love that
It's
band to pieces. They had such an influence on East Coast rockers too. I don't know if people understand that.
no,
Because
he wasn't, as loved that he should have, because
well,
Night
they
Maniacs.
weren't an LA band. They were from New York.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was one of the challenges they had.
Mhm.
Nobody looked as good as them on stage though. And my God, the girls love them to
Oh,
pieces.
yeah.
But I also think that they successfully, perhaps most successfully, spanned metal and goth,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
just so satisfyingly,
Yeah,
and in a way that, I don't know, didn't take the macho out of it, which we needed in
yeah, yeah.
hey, I'm from New York, I don't
Oh, yeah,
know.
yeah,
I'll
accent.
put on a little eyeliner, that's it.
But I totally agree. And it was such because exactly as like you did, all the girls love that band because they all buff, muscular men, and it's kind of the misfits of metal and
Yeah,
goth.
sure.
And
Yeah.
and, and
Also
it,
in New Jersey, Misfits from New Jersey. So there you go. Yeah, you hit that one.
that's right. And but
You
the
can you can take a band out of New Jersey, but you can't take the New Jersey out of the band.
Yeah, totally. I just want to go back on Jason a little bit, and I was wondering because of all those sequels, there are many sequels. I love them all for different reasons, and I was wondering which is your favorite sequel?
Oh no, they always ask me this.
I know, but
And
I haven't.
diplomatically, I have to
Yeah,
always say, I think that
you have to pick one.
I
You have
think
to
all
pick
the
one.
actors did a great job.
Yeah,
I
but you
think
have to pick one.
if you're gonna really pin me down,
Yeah.
I find the most entertaining to watch is part 7.
Oh yeah, man, that's my favorite as
Oh,
well.
cool. Okay, good. I'm glad we agree.
Because
Not everyone agrees with me. A lot of people
oh
like part 6, which is fun, but
yeah,
I like part 7.
that's the
The
it's the
special
most.
effects are so
Oh,
good.
exactly. It's the
It's Kane
most.
Hodder.
It is yeah, Kane Hodder is first, and the look of Jesus is the best.
Yes.
It is amazing. A zombie, and with all the
It's
the
brutal. It's
bones, and
nasty. It's
exactly.
visceral.
And
It
it
goes
goes
through
back to the
that.
first one as well with the Carrie theme.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. And well, he gives it an interesting dimension
Hmm.
with, psychic Tina
Hmm.
and the doctor played by Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's right. I forgot about it. That's so crazy. It's a
he's one
great
of my
movie.
favorite guys too.
Oh yeah,
Terry Kaiser. Terry Kaiser.
I
Just
forgot he was in it. It's
you want to
crazy.
meet him. He's the
Oh yeah.
funniest person. He's got stories. Don't get me started. But Terry Kaiser, and
Wow.
so I love that. And that's Lar Park Lincoln
Hmm.
as Tina,
Oh,
and so
she's great.
she's psychic, and she's like throwing
Yeah.
weapons, like, and kitchen implements at him with it.
Uh-huh.
And then she makes like the roof come off, and
Yeah,
she
yeah, yeah.
blows his mask off, and he gets it's great.
I loved it.
Some fans don't respond to it. I find that it's a great foil because he's a guy and everything's physical, and
Hmm.
and she's a woman, and it's a mystical, magical thing. So
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with everything you said, and it got a little bit of fantastic elements, just like Nightmare on Elm Street ad, and it's
oh, I could see
I
that,
love
right? Yeah.
I loved it so much. So thank you for giving me an answer that is
Yeah.
not
But
politically
let's not
correct.
forget that when I was there in Germany, you talk about Nightmare on Elm Street, right? So Sean tells the audience, he says, "Oh, by the way, everyone talks about me creating Jason, but did you know that I also helped create Freddy Krueger?"
Hmm.
So he worked together with Wes on Freddy Krueger, and because like they had worked together on Last House on the Left and all this stuff,
Hmm. Hmm.
so he created some of the most famous scenes of Freddy Krueger. And
Oh
I said to
yeah.
him, "Sean, that's like I have a brother from another mother."
And I think to me, Sean Cunningham is also kind of created the Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well because of Nightmare, no, the Last House on the Left. Okay, it was in 1972,
Oh,
and it ends with a chainsaw massacre. So
oh,
he's kind of the god of everything that had to do with slasher films or survival or whatever
I
you want to
never
call it.
thought of that, bro. It's
He
been a
was
long
he was
time.
probably the first one having a real chainsaw massacre at the very end of the last house on the left, which is an amazing.
Totally never thought of that, bro.
Yeah, there's some
I'm gonna
things.
steal that.
Yeah,
I'm
still,
gonna-
I give it to you.
I'm working with John at Silver Screen Con. I'll see him on the 14th. So
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna ask him. I'll be on a panel. I'll bring that up.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ari, for having a real nice chat with me about, the best things, horror and metal is, and you made it work together, and you have to come to Montreal to give a show in
Please. Yeah,
December.
let's hook it up.
So,
I want you to be the MC.
okay,
We'll have
so
a party, man.
I'll
And I love the questions you ask.
My pleasure, man. It's been
Good.
I've been doing that for a while, so I have a lot of fun chatting with artists and just art in general. It's it's good for the soul, and you're doing that. So I'm glad to have met you today, and we'll meet again.
Well, it's very insightful, and the way you structured it, it brings out all the best elements. I really appreciate it, Kristof.
Thanks for your
Really
kind
good.
words, man. I really appreciate it. Keep on
Take care.
rocking, and we'll chat again. Cheers, man.
Rock and roll.
Take care.